Ferrero Rocher sits on the shelves of almost all supermarkets around the world. Wrapped in its gold foil and stacked in clear boxes, it has become a household chocolate. There must be very few people around the world who, at some time or place, have not savored this delectable chocolate confection. But do you know that the recipe began more than a century ago and has remained in the hands of one family for 4 generations? This is all thanks to one Italian who turned his father's local bakery into a multi-billion-dollar company. This is the story of Michele Ferrero. Michele Ferrero was born in 1925 in the small town of Alba, in the Piedmont region of northwest Italy. The region is known for agriculture, hazelnut groves, and limited industrial development. It was in this town that Michele's father, Pietro, began a humble bakery with a grand vision. Pietro Ferrero was trained as a pastry chef and chocolatier, and during the years surrounding the Second World War, he faced a reality common across Europe: the scarcity of cocoa due to trade restrictions, import costs, and wartime disruptions. But instead of treating this limitation as a constraint, Pietro treated it as an opportunity for substitution and innovation. He turned to hazelnuts, which were abundant and inexpensive in Piedmont, experimenting relentlessly until he created a thick chocolate and hazelnut paste inspired by the regional specialty, gianduja. This product, marketed as pasta gianduja, quickly became a nationwide bestseller, laying the foundation for the Ferrero Empire. In 1946, Pietro Ferrero formalized operations by founding the Ferrero Company with his brother Giovanni. This marked a shift toward industrial thinking, even while remaining deeply regional in identity. This momentum was interrupted when Pietro died at the age of 51, transferring leadership responsibility to Giovanni and leaving Michele, still young, embedded in the business but removed from direct control. That arrangement proved temporary, as Giovanni passed away less than a decade later, placing Michele Ferrero at the head of the company earlier than expected. Michele inherited the company at a time when the food market was highly competitive, under intense pressure from multinational competitors. For some context, post-war Europe was undergoing rapid industrialization, and consumer demand for packaged food was rising sharply. But competition was fierce and margins were thin, making it one of the most difficult environments in which to scale a food business. However, Michele Ferrero approached leadership with methodical refinement, and one of his first defining decisions was to rethink how chocolate was consumed altogether. Instead of positioning Ferrero as a confectionery brand alone, Michele introduced a chocolate spread in 1949 called Super Crema. It was packaged in jars and designed to sit alongside everyday household staples. This was a radical move at the time, and one of the earliest examples of category redefinition in the food industry. Super Crema was affordable, versatile, and easy to use, making it accessible to families across Italy. Michele reinforced this accessibility with unconventional marketing strategies, including branded trucks that traveled from town to town, distributing chocolate to children, a move that may seem simple today, but was revolutionary in an era when mass advertising was still developing. He personally went out to specific places where his sweet creations were presented to consumers to try. He was there to observe and record their impressions and comments, and he would not be satisfied with his new products until he felt assured that consumers would buy and enjoy them. Within a decade, Ferrero expanded production capacity significantly, opening new factories, including locations outside Italy, marking its transition from a national manufacturer to a regional European player. Germany became one of Michele's most important strategic markets. To put it in perspective, this was a country rebuilding its industrial base after the war, with infrastructure available at low cost and a growing consumer appetite shaped by wartime rationing. Michele capitalized on this by repurposing former military facilities into confectionery plants, achieving rapid scale while controlling fixed costs, a textbook example of opportunistic asset utilization. In 1964, Michele made another decision that would permanently change the company's trajectory by rebranding Super Crema to Nutella. The name combines the English word nut with an Italian diminutive suffix, creating a product identity that was both international and approachable. But this was not merely a name change, as Michele also refined the recipe, adjusting ingredient ratios to achieve a consistency and flavor profile that would appeal across borders. This formulation has remained one of the most closely protected trade secrets in the food industry. Nutella quickly became a staple across Europe, and in 1983, Ferrero introduced it to the United States, transforming it into a global brand. However, Nutella was not the end of Michele's ambitions, because while it became the company's most recognizable product, he understood the importance of portfolio diversification and market segmentation. This led to the creation of the Kinder brand in 1968, targeted specifically at children and designed around a different nutritional and branding philosophy, emphasizing milk content and portion control. Over time, Kinder evolved into an entire ecosystem of products, including Kinder Surprise, Kinder Bueno, Kinder Maxi, and more, each optimized for specific consumer behaviors and regulatory environments. By the late 1970s, Ferrero had established itself as a dominant European confectionery manufacturer. However, Michele believed the company still lacked a true premium product, something that could symbolize prosperity and celebration. So, in 1979, he introduced Ferrero Rocher, a product inspired by both religious symbolism and meticulous product engineering. Ferrero Rocher is a combination of hazelnut, Nutella filling, wafer shell, milk chocolate coating, and roasted hazelnut pieces, all wrapped in gold foil and placed in individual cups, creating a perception of luxury through design rather than price alone. Ferrero Rocher became one of the most successful seasonal products in the world, with a significant percentage of annual sales occurring in the final quarter of the year, particularly around Christmas and New Year celebrations. Its packaging strategy, emphasizing transparency and gold coloration, reinforced its association with gifting, status, and occasion-based consumption, making it the jewel in the crown of Ferrero's brand architecture. Michele was also a shrewd businessman. To protect his invention from possible theft, he had his patent translated into Arabic and registered in Egypt. It was his way of ensuring that no corrupt official could divulge his formula to a competitor. At the same time, he invested heavily in employee welfare. Ferrero was known simply as Signor Michele among the employees. Signor Michele cared for his workers as they were his family, and workers in the Alba plant respected, admired, and, dare I say it, loved him back. In the nearly 70 years the company has been in business, there has never been a strike. There were never any layoffs or reduced work time. A miracle in Italy, where labor strife is rampant. Ferrero provided dedicated bus services for employees who lived in outlying areas and an on-site crochet for mothers of very small children. Through his foundation, established with his wife Maria Franca, Ferrero also built a center for retired employees where they could gather socially and engage in various activities of their choice, never feeling marginalized by society. If an employee needed to get medicines from a pharmacy, all he or she had to do was leave the prescription at the front desk when coming to work, and on their way out, they would find the medicines waiting at the same desk, paid for by Ferrero. When an employee happened to die from injury or illness, Ferrero continued paying the deceased employee's salary to his grieving family for 3 years. Ferrero died in 2015 at the age of 89, without ever abandoning the creative work he undertook at an early age. After his death, long lines formed to pay their last respects, including hundreds of retired employees, nearly everyone from Alba, and a large number of prominent Italian businessmen. Among others, the funeral was attended by the Italian Prime Minister, Matteo Renzi, and the president of the Piedmont region, Sergio Chiamparino. The shops in the town of Alba paid homage to their illustrious citizen by displaying his picture with the caption, "Thank you, Michele. We are proud of you." The entire town shut down on the day of his funeral at the Cathedral of Alba. When Michele Ferrero died, he was the richest man in Italy, with a net worth exceeding $20 billion. With his death, leadership passed to his sons, Giovanni and Pietro Ferrero. By 2019, the Ferrero Group generated over $11 billion in annual revenue and expanded further through acquisitions, including the purchase of several major brands from Nestle. Today, Ferrero is the largest buyer of hazelnuts in the world, consuming roughly a quarter of global production. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out other interesting videos like this one on our channel.